90-Day Fiancé's David Toborowsky says goodbye to baby after leaving Thailand for new adventure. David Toborowsky from 90-Day Fiancé shared an emotional moment between him and his baby after leaving Annie Soan and Minthira in Thailand for a new adventure. David and Annie met in Thailand and documented their relationship during 90-Day Fiancé Season 5. At the time, David wasn't financially well off. He had to rely on a friend to give Annie a home. However, things have gotten much better for them since then. Annie and David recently moved to Thailand to have a baby, and David hasn't revealed if he's ever coming back to America. David recently revealed he was no longer in Thailand and was jet-setting off to a new country. He's now shared a sweet moment involving his baby before he left. David posted a picture of himself saying bye to his baby on Instagram. Annie's aunt, Aunt Lam, held Minthira in her arms as she posed for the picture with David. The new father wanted his fans to see the look he got from Minthira when he gave her a goodbye hug before leaving for the airport. It made him wonder if Minthira was upset because she was not going with her dad when he had to leave for the airport. Why do I have the feeling she will love to travel one day? Just my thoughts. David added what David leaving Thailand again means for his future with Annie. David's Manila trip hints at a big move back to the USA. Different post by David revealed that he flew to the Philippines with some important tasks to complete. He had photographed himself sitting inside an aircraft. He was on his way to Manila to get a social security number for Minthira. David was going to visit the American embassy there, and he revealed it was the only office in the Asia-Pacific region where he could get a social security number for this child. David also revealed that he had been to the Philippines 19 years ago when he used to help recruit nurses for the U.S. David's Manila visit is a short one, and he will be coming back to Thailand. However, his visit likely means that David is in the process of relocating to America again with Annie and the baby. Minthira already has her dual U.S. and Thai citizenship. Meanwhile, Annie's mother is getting her green card. David has been keeping fans in suspense about his return to Arizona, but he can't help but give them clues through his social media updates. He could be saving the good news for a new spin-off. Our take on David possibly preparing to return to America soon. David and Annie have planned their next chapter. David remains quiet about his future plans. Since their daughter Minthira was born in March, the 90-Day Fiancé couple may be waiting until it's safe for her to travel to the U.S. David continues to run his business in America, while Annie had a successful fashion brand selling authentic Thai clothing to American women. That venture has been on hold since her pregnancy. From humble beginnings, the couple has built a stable life with quiet dedication. Whatever their next move is, it will likely reflect the same thoughtful approach. 90-Day Fiancé's David Toborowsky flaunts wealth after leaving Annie and baby in Thailand for adventure. 90-Day Fiancé star David Toborowsky is showing off his financial success after he said goodbye to his wife and baby. David and Annie Soan began their reality TV show journey in 90-Day Fiancé Season 5. David faced severe money struggles when he met Annie, as he had no job. Since then, fans have watched David pull up his socks. David has become a licensed real estate agent and is thriving. David also has a host of other jobs he does to make money after moving to Thailand, and it looks like his hard work is paying off. David recently left Thailand to go to Manila to complete some official documentation work for his daughter. He's now shared a new post captioned, "Late flight but heading back to Thailand after my trip to Manila." David added that all he had set out to accomplish in the Philippines had been done, and it was now time for him to go back to Thailand. David was looking forward to having a date night with Annie. David added a selfie from his flight back home to his sweet post. Annie commented on it, saying, "First class guy," with a 100 emoji. David corrected her in his response, where he wrote, "Aw," and added, "Business LOL," to let her know which travel class he was using on the Thai Airways aircraft. What David Toborowsky revealing he flies business class means. How David turned financial struggles into success. David's financial struggles were a significant aspect of his journey on 90-Day Fiancé. Before meeting Annie, David faced a series of personal and financial setbacks, including a divorce, job loss, and health issues. These challenges led him to relocate to Thailand seeking a fresh start. Upon returning to the United States with Annie, the couple encountered further financial difficulties. David's financial troubles were further compounded when he had to pay Annie's dowry, a traditional Thai custom. The dowry amounted to approximately $15,000, along with 2 water buffaloes and over $6,000 worth of gold. Due to his financial situation, David had to borrow money from his friend, Chris Thieneman, to fulfill these obligations. In addition to borrowing money from friends, David also sought financial assistance from his family. He approached his sister Nancy for a loan, but she refused, questioning his ability to repay the debt and manage his finances. Despite these setbacks, David remained committed to his relationship with Annie and continued to work towards financial stability. However, David has overcome past financial struggles to find success as a licensed realtor in Arizona, closing high-value home sales. Alongside his real estate career, he and his wife Annie have expanded their ventures by co-authoring a cookbook, running a popular Cameo account, and launching a fashion line. Their diversified efforts have helped them achieve financial stability and growth. Our take on David Toborowsky trying to be humble amid sudden recent success. David's journey from humble beginnings to luxury. David has been subtly showcasing his newfound wealth on social media. Whether through frequent flights, cosmetic procedures to look younger, investing in IVF treatments, driving a Rolls-Royce, or purchasing luxury properties worldwide. However, despite his financial success, the 90-Day Fiancé star seems to want to maintain a humble image, as he has yet to fly first class. The real reason 90-Day Fiancé's David Toborowsky left his baby. Find out where he went. David Toborowsky from 90-Day Fiancé recently traveled to another country, leaving his newborn child with his wife, Annie Sowan. David, a 56-year-old man, met Annie in Thailand and quickly fell in love with her charming personality, proposing to her just days after their first date. Initially, David and Annie faced challenges due to a language barrier, an age gap, and cultural differences. However, they were eventually able to overcome these obstacles, and David applied for Annie's K-1 visa. Despite disapproval from his family, David married Annie in 90-Day Fiancé Season 5 in November. David and Annie built a successful life together in the United States. Within a few years of getting married, David improved his financial situation and health. The couple also purchased a beautiful home in Arizona, and Annie started her own clothing business. They opted for IVF treatment, which helped Annie conceive a child. David and Annie moved to Thailand in order to secure dual citizenship for their child. Over the past few months, rumors have circulated that David and Annie, along with their newborn daughter, Minthira, plan to stay in Thailand permanently and may not return to the United States. David traveled to Manila for a special reason. David had to obtain his daughter's SSN recently. David surprised his followers when he flew to another country, leaving his wife and baby girl behind in Thailand. In June, he traveled to Manila, Philippines. David posted several photos with his co-stars, Rose Vega and Faith Gadak-Tulad, sparking curiosity among his fans about his reason for visiting that country. Fortunately, David didn't keep his fans in the dark for long. In another post, he revealed the real reason for his trip to the Philippines. He explained that he was in Manila to obtain a social security number for his daughter, Minthira. After his recent trip to the Philippines, David proudly shared on social media that his daughter now holds both a U.S. passport and a Thai passport. Following this exciting news, he expressed his satisfaction with his fruitful visit to Manila, stating, "All that I set to accomplish has been done, and now to get back to Thailand." The post received over 1,500 likes, with fans congratulating him on his successful trip. One Instagram user wrote, "Good for you. I'm sure your queen made an amazing meal for you." Another user commented, "Fantastic. Safe travels back to your beautiful girls." David and Annie are running businesses in Thailand. Annie wants to become a farmer. David and Annie had various jobs in the United States. David worked in the real estate industry, while Annie ran her own clothing store. However, things have changed in the past year. Although David continues to work as a real estate agent, he now also earns income from selling or renting properties he owns in Thailand. Meanwhile, Annie has decided to pursue a career in farming. In a recent Instagram post, David shared that his wife's goal is to become a successful farmer in Thailand, and he fully supports her in this endeavor. Will David and Annie move back to America? David and Annie may return to the U.S. in early. It doesn't appear that David and Annie intend to return to the United States soon. Although their daughter now has dual citizenship, it doesn't seem to change the fact that Annie wants to become a farmer in Thailand. Annie appears more comfortable living in Thailand because she is near her family, who are helping her raise her daughter. Minthira. It seems unlikely that Annie will come back to the United States until she can bring her mother to Arizona with her. However, the 90-day fiancé couple may most certainly return to America in the first half of to attend David's son's wedding. 90-day fiancés. Annie said marrying David was best decision. Are they the greatest couple ever? 90-day fiancé star Annie Sowen thinks she's made the best decision by getting married to David Toborowsky, even though the start of their storyline was rough and never showed any signs that they'd stay together. Annie, from a small village in Thailand, caught David's attention when she was singing at a bar. David thought he was hearing the voice of an angel and offered Annie a drink. A few days later, David proposed to Annie. David was 24 years older than Annie. He had children who were as old as her. David was also on a journey to transform himself when he met Annie. He had been through a divorce with his wife of 21 years, lost his job, house, and car, and had suffered a stroke. After taking his health into his own hands, David lost several pounds and went to Thailand for a fresh start when he crossed paths with Annie. Perhaps the universe conspired for them to meet, since 90-day fiancé became something that changed Annie and David's lives forever. Annie praised marriage and IVF process with David. After years of challenges, Annie and David embraced parenthood. Annie and David announced they were expecting a baby in a September interview with Us Weekly. Annie shared her excitement, saying she was over the moon after confirming her pregnancy in July. She expressed gratitude for the overwhelming love and support they received from fans during their IVF journey, calling it a powerful experience of turning the impossible into reality. Annie also opened up about her fertility struggles, describing the decision to pursue IVF as the best decision she's ever made. While she called it an amazing journey, she admitted it had been deeply emotional as well. God's will and whatever is meant to be. Annie had to get some fibroids removed before undergoing the IVF process. David, who'd gotten a vasectomy to get his sperm surgically removed, and they did it on Valentine's Day, which David considers auspicious. He described the IVF process as a miracle. David and Annie are forever thankful that they decided to participate in 90-day fiancé. It allowed them the opportunity to share their journey. Annie and David are humbled and honored to be a part of the franchise for 8 years. How marriage and IVF improved Annie's life. Annie and David turned hard times into a new beginning. Annie came from a humble background. She met David when he, too, wasn't in a good place financially. David was relying on the generosity of David's friend Chris Thieneman, who had been loaning David money. Chris purportedly funded David's engagement and wedding to Annie. David was living with Annie in a firehouse owned by Chris when she came to the U.S. However, Chris decided to later sell off the firehouse and forced David to leave within 3 days. He offered David and Annie a chance to live in an apartment above a storage facility without a stove or functioning windows. Annie had been sold false hopes about what it was like to live in America. She obviously became upset about the new house. David asked Annie to trust her, and Annie didn't betray him. David understood the level of disappointment Annie was feeling because he pulled up his socks and dragged them out of the financial mess he'd created. David figured out how to make money using their reality TV fame. They earned through sources like Cameo, and David was able to purchase a home worth $500,000 in Fountain Hills, Arizona. He took up a career in real estate. Annie did have to struggle for the first 4 or 5 years of her marriage, but David tried his best to treat her like a queen. Earlier, whenever Annie and David were asked when they would like to have kids, they never had a proper answer. They seemed to have made up their minds not to have children, but it's possible they didn't want to expand their family while they were in a sketchy financial state. It was only after they moved into the new house that Annie and David decided to try IVF. Annie became pregnant on the first try. Annie and David may be the greatest franchise couple ever. Annie and David continue to break the 90-day mold. Fans have learned to spot social media clues that suggest a couple has broken up. It could be unfollowing each other or throwing shade through stories and captions. However, in Annie and David's case, nothing like that has ever happened. Although both of them post almost every event of their lives online, they have never created relationship drama for all to see. Their love for each other shines through their posts, showing how different they are from most other toxic 90-day fiancé couples. Their consistency and genuine affection continue to set them apart in the reality TV world. Many aspects of their relationship prove they are truly made for each other. Despite facing criticism for their age gap, they never let it affect their bond. David's young at heart and willingly takes part in things that make Annie happy. They've also worked through their language barrier with time and patience. Annie sacrificed a lot to build a life in America, and now David may be ready to uproot his own life and move to Thailand, so Annie can be near her family as a new mom. Their 90-day fiancé journey sets a meaningful example.